Tonight, Greater Sydney placed in strict lockdown as the Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to spread. Extra police sent to Victoria's border with New South Wales, officers turning away anyone from Sydney's COVID hotspots. A Queensland police officer run over and killed as he tried to stop a stolen car. And Derek Chauvin sentenced to more than 2 decades in jail for the neon-neck murder of George Floyd.
This is 7 News with Sally Bowrey.
Good afternoon. In just 1 hour, Greater Sydney, the Central Coast and Wollongong will be placed into a strict lockdown. It will last for 2 weeks until midnight Friday, 9th of July, with only limited reasons to leave home. Chris Reason joins us in our Sydney newsroom. Chris, the highly infectious Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to spread across the city.
Sally, another 12 new... And today the Premier and Chief Health Officer admitting it was moving faster than they can keep up, leaving them with no choice but to call a lockdown. Throughout the day, we've seen panic buying pick up. Many were predicting the lockdown was inevitable as some 6 million residents in Sydney and the surrounding regions head for a housebound fortnight, of course, ruining school holiday plans for thousands and thousands of people. Only 4 reasons to leave home: essential work and education, medical, vaccinations and care, essential shopping and exercise in groups under 10. All other community sport is off. Funerals can continue with a maximum of 100 attending, while weddings planned for tonight and tomorrow are okay, but from Monday they have to be cancelled. Let's listen to a little bit of what the Premier had to say this afternoon.
A few days ago I said this was the scariest time that I felt since the pandemic started, and that's proven to be the case. And even though we don't want to impose burdens unless we absolutely have to, unfortunately, this is a situation where we absolutely have to.
New rules too for anyone outside that zone in regional New South Wales. They now go into the same restrictions the metro area has been in: mandatory masks, no singing, no dancing, etc. And anyone who's travelled into Sydney during the last 2 weeks needs to go into home lockdown for the next 2 weeks. Testing numbers, well, they've rocketed to 55,000 yesterday, with officials also revealing that the new numbers, that 82 total, only include 2 cases now that are unlinked. But they say it's the speed of the infection that has them worried. We're now looking at well over 200 venues of concern, including multiple public transport routes, and many of them well beyond the eastern suburbs. Of particular concern today, 2 cases at Great Ocean Foods Marrickville. Not only worried about the staff and customers there, but apparently the delivery drivers who've been operating and delivering all over Sydney. Now, stern warnings have also been issued by police for anyone who breaches the lockdown orders. After multiple scenes, you can see some there of people out and about today. The maximum fine's $11,000. Here's the Health Minister, Brad Hazzard.
We all need to stop moving around unless we absolutely have to. Don't play games with yourself and with the community. Please stay at home unless you really need to go out.
Now, one person who escaped any penalty today, though, is that unvaccinated airport driver believed to have been patient zero at the beginning of all of this outbreak, with claims he hadn't been wearing a mask either. The Police Commissioner himself issued a statement today, Sally, saying they've investigated the case and there is insufficient evidence to prosecute.
OK, thank you very much, Chris Reason, reporting there. Well, for many residents in Sydney, the day started with confusion over who was already in lockdown and who wasn't. Amelia Brace is in the inner Sydney suburb of Newtown. Amelia, that suburb was virtually cut in half.
Yeah, that's right, Sally. The New South Wales Premier said the line had to be drawn somewhere, and it seemed that this was it. Busy King Street in Newtown, and those restrictions which came into effect at midnight were really visible here, because one side of the street, pubs and restaurants had to call last drinks, while on the other side they were allowed to continue trading. And that is something that we have seen along the border of those local government areas all day. There are streets where some neighbours were in lockdown and others were allowed to go about their day.
So I'm down that street. So over here everything's fine, but in my street everything's in lockdown. But you got to draw the line somewhere.
All the shops are closed on that side, so it's, you know, it's a bit strange.
How's it going to work?
I don't know how it's going to work, to be honest with you.
And of course, there's no confusion anymore. In less than an hour, this area will of course join the rest of Greater Sydney, along with Wollongong, the Blue Mountains and the Central Coast in a complete lockdown. A lot of businesses here started packing up almost immediately after that 2 p.m. announcement. They were busily preparing for the Saturday night dinner rush, and they do say that now food will go to waste. They'll have to cancel shifts for some of their staff, and many people that I spoke to here today, Sally, say that they simply wish this announcement was made yesterday.
OK, thank you very much, Amelia. Victoria recorded just one locally acquired case of COVID-19, a close contact of a known case and someone who was already in isolation. But the state has slammed its borders shut to anyone from a New South Wales red zone. Georgia Comensoli is in Wodonga. Georgia, there are extra police patrols there checking people crossing the border.
Sally, there's a heavy police presence here along the Victorian-New South Wales border tonight, with an extra 260 police roving and at random checkpoints, all to make sure that the Delta variant doesn't get here into Victoria. At the moment, people from New South Wales can't get into the state if they're coming from a red zone, and that red zone is expected to expand with today's lockdown. Also, if you're coming from an orange zone, travellers will need a permit before they get here to the border. If police catch anyone without the right permit, they could face fines of up to $5,000.
We will enforce those border restrictions for the safety of every Victorian and to make sure that we keep the Delta virus north of the river.
Already 15 people on Sydney flights into Melbourne have been sent back, and it's likely that harsher border rules will come after today's lockdown announcement. Sally?
All right, thank you very much, Georgia. The Queensland Police Force is mourning one of its own today, an officer hit and killed north of Brisbane. Senior Constable David Masters was struck while trying to stop a stolen vehicle on the Bruce Highway. Anna McGraw reports.
Flags are being flown at half-mast, and both colleagues and strangers are continuing to lay flowers to honour Senior Constable Dave Masters. Police say the 53-year-old officer was trying to stop a stolen vehicle at the Burpengary Weighbridge around 3 o'clock this morning, hit and killed while deploying stingers.
Police officers are very close. It's one big family, and today is a very tough day for everyone.
The stolen vehicle was located early this morning in Moodloo, 30 minutes north from the crash site. The offenders are still at large. Senior Constable Masters had been in the force for 10 years and lived locally with his wife Sharon and son Jack. Police say he was an incredible man and dedicated officer and loved serving his community.
Hard-working, capable, a beacon at the station. Much loved by everyone.
It's one thing to turn up to these scenes in the hours of darkness, but when you realise that it's one of your friends, yeah.
The use of stingers and road spikes is again under fire. Queensland Police is already facing workplace health and safety issues relating to other events. The Homicide Squad is now investigating the incident to understand how and why Senior Constable Masters never made it home.
The former Minneapolis police officer who knelt on the neck of George Floyd has been sentenced to 22.5 years for murder. Derek Chauvin showed little emotion as he was sentenced and led back to his cell. David Woywood reports.
Good afternoon. Well, yes, mixed reactions to today's sentencing of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, handed a 22.5-year sentence for the murder of George Floyd. Prosecutors had been pushing for 30 years behind bars. Still, today's result well up on defence requests for probation and time served.
Of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months.
Today, George Floyd's family had their chance to tell the court how the events of May 25 last year have transformed their lives.
For an entire year, I had to relive George being tortured to death.
Our family is forever broken.
And from Floyd's daughter, Gianna.
I want to play with him.
A powerful statement reminding the court exactly what's been taken from this family.
If you could say anything to your dad now, what would it be?
It would be, I miss you and I love you.
Chauvin, for the first time, gave an apology of sorts.
I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. I hope things will give you some peace of mind.
While his own mother launched a plea for leniency.
My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist.
This is the longest sentence they've ever given, but it is not justice. Justice is George Floyd would be alive.
Outside court disappointment.
Stop killing us!
But this unlikely to be the end of this case. Derek Chauvin now widely expected to appeal this sentence.
David Woywood there. The potential death toll from the collapse of a Florida apartment building has risen sharply. Authorities in Miami say there are now 159 people unaccounted for. So far, only 4 bodies have been recovered from the seaside block. Here's US correspondent Tim Lester.
Miami's extraordinary building collapse rescue has played out on 2 sites here on the beachfront today. One, a couple of blocks in that direction, the site where the building collapsed now 2 days ago, bringing 12 stories and more than 50 apartments down into a giant pile of dust and rubble. The other, behind me, is the hotel that has become the family reunification centre.
I feel like I'm living in a third world country, and I feel like they just don't care enough.
Emotion-charged hours as those with loved ones on the unaccounted for list wait and hope. On that list, Soraya Cohen's husband Brad and his brother Gary. Her fear, she says,
They're not going to get to him in time. He's suffocating.
In darkness, the 12-storey condo began shuddering, then came crashing down. Now rescuers crawl carefully over the pancaked concrete mountain.
We can't just move it all at one time. It has to be very slow processes where we're digging through, searching, shoring up certain areas, other aspects.
The local rabbi tells 7 News 42 members of the Miami Jewish community are among the missing, including Zivi and Itty Ainsworth, widely known in the communities of Miami and of Melbourne. Their family stretched across the US and Australia.
Beautiful family with wonderful children.
The rescue here now past the 2-day mark. Time is testing the hope of family members. But rescuers do say it is still possible they could take people alive from the site of the building collapse.
Tim Lester there. Still to come in 7 News, horror on the streets of Germany as a knife-wielding man goes on the attack. And Britain's health minister in hot water for breaking COVID regulations. That's next.
On Weekend Sunrise, Sydney's COVID lockdown, where you can and can't go. The rapidly changing developments, essential information you need from 7 a.m.
What's going on?
eBay Tuesdays. Heaps of deals every Tuesday.
How are those reports going?
On things like noise-cancelling headphones.
We should get sushi, Colonel.
Get your Woolies worth on footy favourites with weekly specials like Herbert Adams slow-cooked 400-gram 2-pack, now $3.90 each. That's half price.
That's why I pick Woolies.
This tax time, it's payback time at Officeworks. A Google Nest Hub, just $129. Brighton mesh chairs, only $169 each. We're open late until June 30. Hurry in and you could claim for this year.
Tonight, I'll be eating extra hot flame-grilled chicken with peri-peri chips from Nando's. We now cross live to Ray Martin.
Tonight, I'll be eating butter chicken with a cheese and garlic naan from Miss India.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Let's play for your gold logie.
Let's not.
A lot of people have sensitive teeth, but gum health is really important. Sensodyne Sensitivity in Gum toothpaste not only deals with sensitivity, it also maintains gum health. 2 benefits, 1 toothpaste. What a great idea.
Sydney's suburbs in lockdown. Get the answers you need and know exactly what it means for you on 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Horror allegations of sexual assault and harassment of women in Australia's remote mining camps has led to calls for a public inquiry. Executives from 5 companies have apologised to victims, as Rory Campbell reports.
The WA mining industry has put on a united front and is calling for a parliamentary inquiry into sexual assault at FIFO camps. Representatives from 5 companies, including BHP, Rio Tinto, Woodside, Fortescue Metals and Newmont, stood side by side as the industry body apologised on their behalf to victims.
My apologies on behalf of the sector for people who have been impacted by sexual assault, harassment and/or rape. I would like to apologise if anyone has felt they haven't been able to come forward.
It comes on the back of several rape allegations in the last year. 2 male workers are facing charges over separate incidents at BHP sites in July and November last year. There are also investigations into an alleged sex attack at a Fortescue site in April and another rape claim at a Newcrest camp in December. WA's Premier Mark McGowan has backed an inquiry to look at the safety of workers more broadly. The inquiry has bipartisan support and will be chaired by WA's Deputy Liberal leader, Libby Mettam.
I will be recommending the parliamentary committee which I chair look into how we can make recommendations to improve the workplace at FIFO mining sites for women.
The mining companies have committed to a working group which will figure out how to create change. One thing it'll look at is drinking restrictions on site.
A man armed with a large knife has murdered 3 people in the southern German city of Würzburg. Another 5 people were seriously injured. The suspect, a Somali man aged 24, was shot in the leg by police before being arrested. Police say he had a history of mental illness. The UK's embattled Health Secretary Matt Hancock has apologised after pictures of him emerged breaking the country's COVID rules. He was photographed hugging and kissing a female aide, as Hugh Whitfeld reports.
Matt Hancock has been at the heart of the British government's pandemic response, but the UK woke to headlines this morning splashed across the country's biggest selling newspaper, showing the UK Health Secretary kissing and embracing a government staffer in his office. The Sun saying he's been having an affair. But more critically, it would appear Matt Hancock was also breaking Britain's social distancing rules. When the incident happened, hugging was banned, leading for calls for the Cabinet Minister in charge of health policy during the pandemic to resign.
Remember, this is a time when we've seen grandparents not able to hug their grandchildren.
Matt Hancock has been married to his wife for 15 years. They have 3 children together and is clinging to his job, releasing a statement saying, "I have let people down and am very sorry," and that he'd keep working to get the country out of the pandemic.
And of course, the days when ministers had to resign over affairs have long gone. I certainly don't think this Prime Minister will be sacking him for that. It's the breach of the coronavirus regulations that is more serious.
Boris Johnson, who was himself sacked from the Tory frontbench 17 years ago for lying about an extramarital affair, is backing Matt Hancock, saying he accepts the Health Secretary's apology.
Never a dull moment in politics. Well, sport is next with Matt Carmichael. And Matt, there's a bit of late tension before Origin 2.
Oh, Sal, it wouldn't be Origin without it, would it? Good afternoon, everyone. One of the teams is not taking COVID lockdown very well. The latest next. Also, the Pies start life after Bucks with a loss. The Dockers charge towards the top 8. And Ash Barty's special tribute to honour an iconic triumph in Australian sport.
Next Sunday.
Will be fun when you can finally make it home.
Should we bring them in?
Because when I'm in a room with you, that missing piece is found.
This year, more than one farmer will find love.
That missing piece is found.
I'm in love with you. Real love is back. New Farmer Wants a Wife starts next Sunday on 7.
Takes some real skill to settle a wild ute at Walkinshaw Station. The powerful Amarok V6W series, the only ute reared for the road.
It's Tax time madness at JB Hi-Fi. With $500 on this HP laptop, smashed to $898. $600 off this LG 65-inch OLED TV. And this Oppo 5G X2 Neo phone tossed out for $449. That's half price. Plus extended trade till June 30. JB, you've done it again.
Special K. Rise with us. Rise with protein for muscle. Rise with iron for energy. Set goals, then kick them. Special K. Powering you.
At Bunnings Trade, we help you get more out of tax time with great value on top brand tools, like a full-bore multi-process welder, just $499, and a DeWalt 18-volt combo kit, only $399. Bunnings Trade, helping business is our trade.
Don't tell Grandad, but he was right. I've overcooked these steaks.
I'm always right, son. I thought you'd know that by now.
Dad, how on earth did you hear that?
Have you heard of Amplifon?
At Amplifon, the hearing care professionals experience our latest technology hearing aids with a free trial, including the new Ampli Mini, so small it's almost invisible. Call 13MyEars to book an appointment and experience a free trial in the comfort of your own home. That's 1369 3277. Amplifon, the hearing care professionals.
At Aware Super, we are inspired by our members to breathe life into our communities. We believe you can do well for yourself at the same time as doing good for all. As one of Australia's best performing super funds, we deliver strong long-term returns for our members at the same time as investing in affordable housing, renewable energy and critical infrastructure. Become aware today.
The race for the AFL's top 8 is heating up, with Fremantle producing a stirring victory over Collingwood, even without Nat Fyfe. In Robert Harvey's first game in charge as interim coach, the Magpies took the lead in the final term, only for the Dockers to hit back late to win it by 12 points.
Gets it to Schultz. This for the lead for Freo. There it is, Freo. Get the job done over the Pies by 2 goals.
In Hobart, North Melbourne claimed their second win of the season to place more pressure on the struggling Suns. Late tension is simmering before State of Origin 2 tomorrow night. The Blues used COVID rules as their excuse to shut down today's final training session in Brisbane. Coach Brad Fittler was forced into holding a late Zoom call with reporters. The Maroons are bound by the same rules, but still had cameras at training, and coach Paul Green was a bit miffed at his media conference.
Oh, yeah, look, I don't know. Yeah, it's up to them. We've done ours.
New South Wales accused Queensland of milking the penalty that decided last night's women's Origin clash. Sydney FC have their shot at history, playing for the first A-League Championship three-peat tomorrow, but the grand final's on the home turf of the Premiers, Melbourne City.
We respect them. They've had a great season, but it's a one-off game, and we know what qualities we have in our team.
Steve Corica says he hopes two-time Johnny Warren medalist Milos Ninkovic can overcome a calf injury. Melbourne United completed a season of total dominance with a 3-0 sweep over the reigning champion Perth Wildcats in the NBL Grand Final. United won Game 3 81-76, finishing with an equal record 33 wins this season. It's their second title as Melbourne United. Jock Landale won the Larry Sengstock medal as Grand Final MVP. Daniel Ricciardo was second fastest in practice for the first of 2 F1 rounds at Austria's Red Bull Ring. Valtteri Bottas almost wiped out the Aussies' entire McLaren pit crew.
Michael, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Bottas copped the 3-place grid penalty for dangerous driving. With outrageous court coverage, Alex de Minaur's into the final of the Wimbledon warm-up at Eastbourne.
Oh, what, did he not touch the net earlier on in that point?
The Demon will face Italy's Lorenzo Sonego. Ash Barty could play the villain in the first round at Wimbledon. She faces Carla Suarez Navarro, the Spaniard who's playing a swan song after fighting back from cancer. But Barty will play in a dress inspired by Yvonne Goolagong, 50 years since her hero's iconic triumph. She'll look very good in something similar to that, Sal.
She certainly will, and she'll play well too.
Sure.
All right, thanks for that, Matt. Still to come in 7 News, we'll take a look at tomorrow's weather right around the country.
A Saturday night red alert game.
McDonald tipping Woody.
The Rampage
raging Bombers are up for a big scalp.
Building some very nice momentum.
Can they knock off the ladder-leading Demons?
Look out!
Saturday Night Footy, live and free on 7 Mate.
For 80 years, the wave between Jeep drivers has said, I see you, mate, I got your back. And to ensure that spirit lives on, Jeep are introducing the Jeep Wave Commitment, a promise to always be there for you.
After work, time for an encore. Tasmanian chips with sea salt and rosemary. That's worthy of a standing ovation. Bird's Eye.
New Naturally Good Anti-Age with 99% naturally derived ingredients, plus 1% for stability and safety, with organic burdock extract. Visibly reduces wrinkles in 2 weeks. 100% transparency for 100% trust.
At HCF, we define success as having your back when you've done yours in. Get 100% back on your first visit to one of our physio, chiro or osteo providers. Because we're not for profit, uncommon care is our bottom line. Join HCF today.
Oh, the new boss. I should say something smart. Travel bubbles, Bitcoin, politics, the royals? Oh, pick something. Oh, hello, news.com.au.
Be on it with news.com.au.
Lowered. Like our prices on over 20,000 products.
Nice. How do you tackle speed bumps?
Slowly.
Repco. It starts with the parts.
You know that by going to someone's home, they've opened their lives to you, and they want to know that that person that's coming into their house is someone that really cares.
Anglicare at Home supports you to live independently and enjoy the things you love, both at home and in the community. Search for Anglicare at Home.
Taking a look at the national weather now, and a few showers are sweeping through the southeast of the country. A high is keeping the rest dry and clear. Around the capitals for tomorrow, Brisbane sunny, 21 degrees, clear into Sydney. Melbourne mostly fine, 15 degrees, 16 in Adelaide, a few showers. Also some showers developing in Perth. It'll be sunny in Darwin though, with a top of 31 degrees. And that's 7 News for now. Our next bulletin is 7 News at 6. I'm Sally Bowrey. Goodbye.